Welcome to EMD Elevated episode number 1. Today we're covering NCAA hockey. I'm your host, Easton Amelia, and we're going to cover rankings, past games. We have a few games that happened on Thursday night. I'll be posting this Friday morning, so let's get into it. Game of the weekend, Friday night. Boston College was able to beat Michigan 3-0. This kind of surprised me. Michigan State was able to win the following day 4-3. American International tied 3-3 versus Ohio State. Rensselaer won 6-3 over Canisius. Mercyhurst won 4-2 over RTI. Clarkson wins 4-2 over Niagara. Colgate won in overtime 6-5 over Sacred Heart. Western Michigan won 4-1 over Ferris State. Omaha won in overtime over UMass. This game was awesome to watch. Notre Dame won 4-1 over St. Lawrence Union. Won 4-2 over Stonehill. Holy Cross won 4-3 versus UConn. Miami, Ohio won 3-2 over Alaska Anchorage. Michigan Tech won 2-1 in overtime versus Alaska Fairbanks. Minnesota Duluth won 4-2 over UMass Lowell. Lindenwood upsets Wisconsin 4-2 in Madison. This one surprised me. Coach Bill McCall was able to get the team and rally them for a win. Vermont has a 5-5 tie with St. Thomas, Minnesota. Augustana won 4-0 over Long Island University. Merrimack won 1-0 over Minnesota State. And Colorado State won 4-3 over Bemidji State. Number 12, Colorado College won in overtime over Northern Michigan. And number 5, Minnesota wins 7-1 in Air Force. That game was really one-sided. I actually was working for Learfield on that broadcast, so I knew a lot about that game. That game was dominated one side. A lot of opportunities by Minnesota early on. The first night was filled on Friday with lots of action. It was really good to see a lot of these teams. We kind of see now everyone play outside of the Ivies, so that's really good to see. And then moving on to Saturday, as I said, Michigan State got their redemption on Boston College, winning 4-3. UConn won 3-1 over Holy Cross. RIT wins 4-2 over Mercyhurst. Ohio State wins 5-2 over American International. Rensselaer won 8-3 over Canisius. UMass Lowell wins 4-1 versus Minnesota Duluth. Michigan Tech won 2-1 over Alaska Fairbanks. New Hampshire won 2-1 in overtime over Bentley. Boston University takes care of business, wins 4-1 over Union. Western Michigan won 5-1 Ferris State. Notre Dame won 5-2 over Clarkson. Quinnipiac won 3-2 over Penn State. Northeastern won 5-1 over Stonehill. Wisconsin got their redemption in overtime when Lindenwood was leading majority of that game, but Wisconsin got it done at 1-3-2 in overtime. UMass took care of business after rebounding to an overtime loss against the Mavericks and beat Air Force 5-1. Miami, Ohio won 4-1 versus Alaska Anchorage. St. Thomas, Minnesota won 3-1 versus Vermont. North Dakota took care of business, won 5-2 versus number 11 Providence. St. Cloud State won 3-2 against Bemidji State. Long Island University won 3-2 versus Augustana. And Minnesota State won 4-1 over Merrimack. Coming back from a loss after they lost the previous night, got shut out 1-0. Colorado College won 6-1 over Northern Michigan, and the University of Nebraska Omaha won over Minnesota 2-1 in overtime. That was a great game. Lots of saves by the goaltender for the Mavericks. Josie is my player of the week, goalie of the week, however I want to put it. So he's the EMD Elevated Player of the Week. So a little graphic here. And now we're going to move on to the polls. After last weekend, there's a lot of movement, really not in the top 4 though, with Boston College and Michigan State tying their series at 1 apiece. Denver taking care of business. They did not play last weekend, but they are 2-0. Boston College 1-1, as I said. Boston University 2-0. Michigan State 3-1. North Dakota 1-0. They fell back from 6th now to 5th. Minnesota lost a spot actually, and they fell to 6th. Quinnipiac, they went up in the rankings to 7. Cornell has not played yet this season. They have a scrimmage on this Friday, so the day of posting this video, they will have a scrimmage. Maine, they went up 2 spots. Michigan did not move. Colorado, they went up 1. Omaha went up 3 after a big weekend. St. Cloud State went up 3. They swept Bemidji State. Providence went down 1. Massachusetts went down 1. Wisconsin drops down 5 after splitting with Lindenwood. I'm kind of interested to see how Lindenwood does this weekend against Air Force. Western Michigan does not move. Notre Dame up 2. Northeastern goes down 1. And Minnesota State goes down to 20. That is a look at the polls. Now on to the EMD elevated games of the week. I'm going to pick 8 matchups that I really like this week. And first, starting off with Arizona State versus Providence. Arizona State beat Air Force 8-1 and lost 4-3 last weekend to Michigan and tied 3-3. That game surprised me. I did not expect Arizona State to come out like that. They are really picking it up there at Arizona State. I would not be shocked if they were able to possibly win a game or two in this one. I feel like they have a really good opportunity to at least tie the series. Sweeping would be very tough, especially facing at Providence. Providence lost to number 6 North Dakota. So it's kind of interesting to see both these teams face really good teams, 2 top 10 teams. How will they rebound going into this next series? My 7th matchup will be Augustana versus Nebraska Omaha. Nebraska Omaha's hot. They found a way to have a big weekend beating UMass and Minnesota. I'm curious on can they keep that momentum. They're at home. They're playing Augustana, who split against Long Island. They won game 1 4-0 and lost game 2 3-2. And then my 6th game of the week. This one I really like a lot. This is the Ohio State and Wisconsin matchup. Big Ten matchup here. Big Ten hockey. Love to see it. I apologize. Last season, Wisconsin won 3-0 and 6-1 at home. Ohio State won 3-2 in overtime and 3-1 at home. This was a big series. They played a lot of games, and that's not even forgetting about the Big Ten tournament where Ohio State won 3-1 against Wisconsin and 4-2 against Wisconsin. Ohio State won, and then it went down to the final game where Ohio State won 3-1. That's ultimately where it finished. Ohio State has played American International so far. They tied 3-3 and won game 2 5-2. Wisconsin split versus Lindenwood, losing game number 1 4-2, but they overcame that and won in overtime. Next up, game number 5 of this week. I'm going to go North Dakota and Minnesota State. North Dakota and Minnesota State played last season. North Dakota won game 1 6-2, then tied the following night 2-2. North Dakota beat Providence 5-2. Dylan James had 2 goals on the night. This North Dakota team is 1-0. Minnesota State split 5-2, win game 1 and a 4-1 in game 2. Merrimack lost game 1, getting shut out, but ultimately getting back into the win column on the second game. Number 4 Northeastern versus Denver. This one I think is going to be a sweep by Denver personally. But Denver played Alaska Anchorage, won 6-2, 4-1, taking care of business. Northeastern beat Stonehill College 5-1. Jack Williams had 3 points with 2 goals and an assist. My third matchup, Minnesota versus Minnesota Duluth. Nothing better than a rivalry. Minnesota is leading the season's all-time series 136-85-19. Minnesota won 5-1 and then tied 3-3 last year. Minnesota, they played Air Force and won 7-1 and then lost in the icebreaker tournament to Omaha 2-1. They outshot 54-18, but ultimately lost with great saves by the goalkeeper Lacosi. Minnesota Duluth 7-2 victory over the University of Manitoba. Split against the University of Massachusetts Lowell. UMass Lowell, they won 4-2, then lost the following night 4-1. Quinnipiac is my second game of the week. Maine won 2-1 in overtime. Quinnipiac won 4-1 last year. Quinnipiac beat a really good Penn State team 3-2. Jeremy Wilmer had a pair of goals in that one. The Maine shut out in their lone victory. Albin Naboya had 17 saves. Nolan Renwick had 2 goals and 2 assists. I'm excited for this matchup. 2 ranked teams, 2 top 10 teams. But it's always nice to see. I'm really excited to see St. Cloud State heading to Michigan. This is going to be a good one. St. Cloud State coming off a sweep against Bemidji State after a season opener against St. Thomas where they won 1-0. Michigan split with Minnesota State, losing game 1 5-2 and winning game 2 4-1 and beat Arizona State. But they also tied 3-3, so that is interesting to me. I didn't think they would tie. I thought they would honestly sweep, but it's Division I hockey. Anything can happen. So my predictions on these, I'm going to go back to my first one, Arizona State versus Providence. I think Providence is going to sweep this one, especially at home. Arizona State traveling. I think Arizona State played really well against Michigan, but I don't think they're able to win one against Providence. Augustana headed to Omaha. Omaha is a really good team, and I think they're on fire right now. I'm going to call for another sweep. My sweeps end there. I think Ohio State and Wisconsin will split. I think, personally, that Wisconsin's going to win the first night, and Ohio State will win the following. Next up, North Dakota heading all the way to Minnesota State. I'm going to have to take North Dakota to sweep this one. I really like North Dakota this year. They're one of the teams I'm highly on, so I think they're able to get it done there. Denver versus Northeastern. I already said I think Denver's going to sweep. When you go to Duluth and Minnesota, I had a hard time picking this one out. It's a rivalry matchup, especially at Minnesota Duluth. You never know what happens in opposite environments. Minnesota coming off a big loss against Omaha. I think they're going to split this one. I think that Minnesota Duluth will win game 2. Minnesota will win game 1. Quinnipiac versus Maine. This one I went back and forth about too. Maine is a really good team. They're 1-0. Quinnipiac's 1-0 as well. But I think they're going to split this one. I think that this is going to be a really good game. I think one game is going to be a really high-scoring game. Like, we're going to see a 4-3 game, a 5-4 game. And one game, I feel like it's going to be a 2-1 game, and you're just hoping for one hit the back of the net. But it's just going to be great save after great save. Then ultimately, St. Cloud State versus Michigan. I'm going to shock you guys. I'm going to pick St. Cloud for a sweep in this one. I think Michigan played a tough Arizona State team, but I think St. Cloud State has another level, and I think they're able to get it done. Now, more predictions for this week, not too in-depth. Army versus Holy Cross. I think Holy Cross is going to get it done and sweep Army. Robert Morris and Miami, Ohio played today. I thought Miami, Ohio was going to sweep them. So Robert Morris won 5-1 today. Another game went on today. Western Michigan beat Bowling Green 6-2. I had Western Michigan winning. I had Western Michigan winning this one. Western Michigan then plays York on Saturday. But now back to my predictions. Long Island versus Bentley. I have them splitting this one. Sacred Heart versus UMass. I have UMass coming out and sweeping this one. Notre Dame versus Alaska Fairbanks. Notre Dame at home. I don't see them losing this at all. I think it's going to be 2 not close games. I think it's going to be blowouts. RPI versus Niagara. I think RPI is going to sweep them as well. St. Louis versus Ferris State. I think St. Louis is going to take care of business here and sweep them. Union versus Mercyhurst. I think this is going to be a split. Alaska Anchorage versus Northern Michigan. I think this one, Alaska Anchorage finds a way to win one, and Northern Michigan wins one as well. UMass Lowell versus Colgate. I think UMass sweeps this one. Stonehill versus Lake Superior. I have Lake Superior winning this one. I think they're going to sweep them. Lindenwood versus Air Force. This one I'm very excited for. Lindenwood coming off a big weekend versus Wisconsin. Now heading to Air Force. Air Force is a really good team. They did have a tough weekend, though, where they did lose to UMass Minnesota. They did lose to Arizona State before that. But Lindenwood did lose the last night against Wisconsin. I think they're going to split this. I think it's going to be really close games, both games. I'm excited for this. I think Lindenwood's going to win game 2. Air Force win game 1. Home team, I feel like, is going to win this. Thursday night hockey, I had Western Michigan winning it. They did, but I also had Robert Morris and the University of Miami, Ohio. I had them getting swept, but Robert Morris won, so I'm already 1-1 on my picks this year. American International versus Boston College. This one on Friday, I have Boston College winning this one. I really don't think this one's going to be too close of a matchup. Hockey East matchup, UConn versus Boston University. I'm excited to see some more conference hockey. I'm excited for that season to come. So we're starting off big. I still think Boston University is able to win this one. Hockey East matchup, New Hampshire versus Merrimack. I'm going to go with Merrimack. They played Minnesota State tough, and I think they're able to squeeze one out, especially if their goaltender is able to keep the way he's been playing. Saturday, York versus Western Michigan. And I'm going to have to go with a ranked team here, Western Michigan. I think they're going to have a good weekend. I'm excited to see what they can do. Harvard versus BYU. This is going to be a great matchup. I have Boston University winning this one. Bowling Green versus RIT. This is going to be, I think, one-sided. I think Bowling Green is going to be able to win this single matchup on Saturday. And last game, I'm going to be predicting Clarkson versus Vermont. I still honestly don't really know which one's going to win this. I think Clarkson's going to find a way to win this one, but I think it's going to be a really good series. Well, not series, a single game, but that's all I have today. Please like and subscribe.